All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. If anyone else jumps on, we'll welcome them at that time. But thanks everybody for joining our very first office hours meeting. So this is something we've been talking about doing for a little while now and trying to figure out how we want to go about doing it. But you all as the first, you get to put that and check that off. You can even maybe put that on your SIFT profile that I was the first one to attend that. And I'll get Aaron and Alyssa, who are on our marketing team, to make sure it's like when you go to like the first ever concert I was there type of thing. So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so the purpose of this is just to um, go through, and it's going to be very much an informal presentation. There's going to be a little bit of structure, but then the rest of it's just going to be open up to anybody that wants to ask any questions or discuss how they're utilizing SIFT. So first and foremost, just to introduce myself for those who I haven't met yet, which I believe I've met with everyone who's currently on the call, except for that Larry guy. I don't know Larry. I'm kidding. He's the CEO here within SIFT. He wanted to sit in and just kind of be a fly on the wall. So I'll welcome him. But my name is Tim Kamen. I am the director of client success here with SIFT. I've been with the company since April of last year. So a little bit about me here. I feel I am an expert at client success and problem solving and technical support and public speaking. So those are what I currently have set as my featured skills on my profile. And when it comes to interest, I'm big into Peloton. If anybody has been on a meeting with me, I'm most likely wearing some form of Peloton branded apparel. So that's not too much of a shocker there. Um, but yeah, so again, if you do have any questions through the first part, just go ahead and use the Q&A section, and Aaron or Alyssa, who are monitoring that, can let me know. But like I said, after the brief little presentation part, we'll open it up and turn on mics. So anybody that wants to talk, we'll have that available for you as well. And then we are going to be planning on sending a recording of this out to anybody that signed up to join in within the next 36 hours or so. So you'll be able to watch this back at a later date and time. So the quick agenda here, we're going to discuss what the purpose of this type of meeting is used for. And then I'm going to give some pro tips for user engagement, ways that you can make SIFT sticky on your end to make sure your users are have plenty of access to the platform. And then again, we'll open it up to discussion and Q&A. So the purpose of this is a few months back, I think it was at the start of the year, we did a webinar on SIFT pages, and it went really well, but we had a few people chime in with some questions that were kind of off topic or had suggestions and tips and tricks about how they were using it. And it just spun this whole concept of having like a working hours type meeting to where we can get on with any of our clients that want to participate and just kind of, spitball ideas back and forth. And someone could say, I'm using SIFT this way, to give someone else an idea of how to utilize it. So it's just a way to kind of have like a great collaboration, because SIFT is very much a collaborative tool. We get a lot of our data in from your HRIS system, but then we also rely on your end users to fill out the majority of their profile so that everything stays robust and easily accessible. So a couple tips for getting user engagement is to make sure that you set the auto invite and the reminder frequency settings on. So they are off by default. When you turn them on, they'll default to 3 days after someone has been added to your instance. And then at 10:30 in the morning, they'll get an invite. And then the reminder frequency will just continue to nudge that person if they haven't accepted that, because right now, if someone does not accept their invite within 7 days, it does expire and they'll have to be reinvited to the platform. Using this option just keeps that fresh, so that way you're not going to have to go in there and kind of do housekeeping on your end to make sure that those invites aren't stale. And then if you have the auto invite feature on, you're not going to have to go in on a daily or weekly cadence to make sure that everybody new that was added into the organization is being invited to the platform. They'll automatically just get invited. And those settings can be changed as well. So you can change that auto invite out from 1 day to 30 days after they've been added to the system, and then also modify the time range on there. And then also there is a setting where you can modify and set what attributes you deem are most important, so that your folks within the organization are filling out their profiles to the best of their ability. So that way you have all of the information you're looking for, and you can set priorities on there. So when they're in their profile, it'll say, hey, we noticed you haven't filled this out, so that they make sure and fill it out. And you can get a stat and some metrics on the platform on this same page that will tell you that this specific, if you want a name pronunciation, for example, filled out, it'll show how many people have filled that out and give you an idea. So if there are ones that are slipping behind, you can maybe discuss internally of ways to better communicate that we want to make sure that this particular section of the profile is filled out. And then that notification status is just, again, it's going to just prompt the person on their end that they haven't filled out something that they want, that you all want to be filled out. So just a couple little cool tips there that most people know about, but it's also, something I like to point out as well, um, to make sure that you are having the most of your users experience. So ways to make SIF sticky. So some of the ideas and things that we've always suggested is if you have the ability to send out a group policy from your end to automatically bookmark SIFT on your users' internet browsers, that's a great option to do so, or even create a desktop shortcut for easier access. It makes it look more like an actual application than a web app, so people are more prone to click on it and use it. If you do have an internal intranet, you can embed the widget on there so that your users can search right from your intranet page instead of having to go out to the SIFT website. If you wanted to include a link in your email signatures for internal emails for your SIFT, your profile, or just the page itself, that's always a great way as well, just to get it out there and easily accessible. And another big thing is just making sure that your leadership and executive teams are utilizing it. Lead by example. If you are using it and promoting it, then most likely your other employees will as well. A great prime example here. So SIFT is a smaller company that's part of the Rocket Mortgage family of companies, and Dan Gilbert, who's the founder of that, was a huge proponent of this program, to the point where he said, I want everybody to reach out to me with any questions that they have on it. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to be the ultimate champion for this program, and making sure that my profile is filled out so that it encourages others as well. Because if the people at the top of the organization are filling it out, then again, there's a high probability that people within the organization will also fill it out. We do also offer a mobile app that you can install for Android and iOS that we always recommend that you show your users how to access and download. It's great for on the fly. If you're trying to look up something or find contact information for someone, you can almost treat it like an address book. You can also access the org chart as well from there. Depending on how large your organization is, you might have to pan around, pinch and zoom, and things of that nature, because phones are rather big, but they're not as big as your laptop screen. So, if you have a large organization, then it might not be the easiest to see things on that version of the org chart, but it's there if you wanted to have it. And then also, if you utilize Microsoft Teams within your organization, we do have an integration and a built-in application to where you can pin Teams right, pin SIFT, mind you, right into Teams. So they never have to actually leave Teams to go to our site to access the directory in the org chart. They can just pull it right up from within there to find a resource that they're looking for. And then while they're in Teams, reach out to that person within Teams and ask the question that they have. So those are just a few options to kind of make sure that your users have access and are utilizing SIFT. And again, that's just the very quick, kind of more formal structured portion of the meeting today. So, hopefully there are some people who will get the reference here from this GIF, an old Saturday Night Live sketch with Mike Myers where he did coffee talks. So, SIFT, how do you use it? Talk amongst yourselves. My favorite was always Rhode Island, neither a road nor an island. Discuss. So at this time, we can go ahead and turn on microphones, and if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, anything regarding the application, feel free. Or if you want to maybe give some ideas of how you're utilizing it, or tips and tricks that you found to make it easier to manage, that might help out someone, by all means, please share. Anyone? Yep, you can also type in the chat too if you wanted to utilize that. Looks like someone's typing, multiple people are typing. All right. All right, so the first question is, does SIFT have the capability to know who uses the application within the organization? So, as an admin, you do have access to the all users page, which will show everybody that's been brought into your directory from your source. But then you also can see how many are currently active. So that might be a way to see who's currently active, meaning they've been invited to the platform and they've signed up for an account. Other ways is utilizing that attribute priority that I had shown a few slides ago, where you can kind of see who's filling things out. It doesn't specifically tell you who's filling them out, but if there's ever a time where you need more like detailed information about who's using the platform and who's not, feel free to always reach out to me and I can get that information from my end. We have some metrics and statistics that we have on our end. And then we can also have our development team drill into the database a little bit more to get more detailed information for you. A good question there. While we're waiting for that next question, it looks like someone's typing. I can actually show you the users section within here. So this is just my demo account that I have for playing around and testing. Kramerica Industries. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, so pulled inspiration from that. But here on the all users tab, I can see that there's 990 people, and this is just all of our demo data that will load in if you're a new prospect is wanting to try the program without loading in their own data. And right now there's only one active user, and that's me, just because I have it set up. But you can see how many are currently active, how many are pending their invite, meaning they just haven't accepted it yet. Those ones that expired that I mentioned will show up here if you don't have this reminder frequency setting turned on. So there's some things there. Okay, so great question. The next question was, is there any plans for adding the capability for future planning? So you can do a second org chart assembly to only a few people that can test the growth of the business case. So yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we have been bouncing those ideas around, along with like having historical org charts, so you can kind of take a peek at, what the organization looked like 6 months or a year ago. Right now, we do have the ability, like if you wanted to have a separate like test instance set up, we could always set that up for you, and you can load your people data into there and then just give access to, whoever you want to go into there. But the only way to kind of manipulate and play around with that data is to modify the CSV file that would be loaded in there. There's no like drag or drop capabilities to move people around for future planning. So the next question was that they currently are using Active Directory to pull in their data, and they want to know if we have a direct Okta integration in the future. So we can integrate with Okta. Currently, it just requires a little bit of legwork on our end. So if you wanted to go that route, or any clients that wanted to go that route, we can definitely work with you to do that. Again, it's just a little bit on our end from a development perspective to, toggle some settings and some configurations. But it's not as easy as doing the Azure Active Directory. As you probably know, it probably took all 5 minutes to, authenticate and connect in your account and authorize the data to be brought in. So Hopefully one day we will have the ability to have it as simple as that. But right now, if you wanted to go the Okta route, we would just work internally with our development team and you to get that set up. Any other questions? Oh, looks like we got a typer. Okay. Yeah, if you want, just feel free to reach out to me. You can email me directly or our support address. So it's either support@justif.com or tim@justif.com, and then we can kind of go over that in more detail, and we can loop in our development team as well to help with answering some of the more technical questions that they would have the answers to on their end. Perfect. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Coming in clutch for the save. Doesn't mean I'm going to take it easy on you for fantasy football this season, though. Okay, perfect. Great question. So, are there plans for exporting the org chart to a PDF in a more readable format? They said it seems like if there are some larger areas of the org, it doesn't show well in the PDF export. So, there are two ways that you can, save your data from the org chart. You can print it or you can save it. Printing it essentially is just taking a screenshot of what's ever currently on the screen. So, if you only happen to have six cards up on there and maybe one of them on the far right is cut off just because of how it falls on the screen. When you print it, that's all it's going to print. If you expand everybody out and you were to do the download option, that's going to allow you to download the entire org chart as a whole. It's, depending on how big your company is, it could be, a rather wide file to have that. A great suggestion and a tip that we give our clients is there's the ability to do a start from here. So if you're on anyone's card, the three dots at the bottom corner of it, if you click on it, you have the ability to do like a start from here, and I can show it uh, if this is built out. Yeah. So if I were to go on Northrop's card here and do start from here, it's going to essentially build out and show Northrop at the top and then everybody that reports to them underneath that. So one suggestion is if you wanted to kind of break things up, you could do a start from here by, whoever each lead is for the department or the team. And then once you have them, then go ahead and save it as a PDF and then just do that for the remainder teams or departments within your organization. So you may end up having like 4 or 5 or 10 files, but then you can combine them all into one PDF just so that it's a little bit more broken down and structured and easier to view as opposed to just one large file. Hopefully that might give you some ideas. Any additional questions we can answer? And by me, if there are anything that comes up, after the fact, feel free to email me. I know I'm always the type of person that as soon as I get on, I blank out and I don't ask the right questions, and then they always pop up into my head as soon as I leave. So feel free to reach out and email any questions that you may have after the fact if nothing's coming to mind right now. All right. Well, if there aren't any additional questions, I appreciate everybody. Oh, looks like someone's typing here, so we'll give them a second. Oh, Yeah, absolutely. Thank you as well. So, yeah, if there aren't any additional questions, I appreciate everybody for coming on. If there are ideas and things that you want to maybe discuss for future ones of these, feel free to let us know. We're always open to ideas and suggestions. Again, this was kind of the first one, so we're kind of still evolving and figuring out the ebbs and the flows of it. So, um, again, feel free to reach out with any questions that you may have. If you want to schedule some time with me, I can send you my calendar link and we can get on a call and go over any questions that you may have. Then, help you set up additional things that you may not have currently configured, like Sift Pages, for example. Um, but other than that, everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, so that's always a plus. And again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.